Well, hello there, my people. Good to see all of you all out here, and we are expectant because we're looking out for you all. We're looking out for you to also join us with your friends. We're asking you to go and share the live to your friends, call them, tell them to log in. Tonight, we're looking at whether your relationship is compatible or not. We're going to look at the things that make it incompatible. All you have to do is just look the opposite side and see whether it is compatible. This is going to be an exciting program. I promise you that. It will be revealing, and I hope that you bring your partner with you, because sometimes the person who is probably may not be as compatible with you that you might be having the trouble with might be your partner, but guess what? It might be you. You might be the person giving the trouble. So let's not become too overly confident and not recognize the challenges that we face. We are here from 9 o'clock. My name is Michael Stewart, and this is Mike at Night. Welcome, my people. And so let's go to the commercial break, and we'll be right back with you.
Don't let the weather of the day dictate your pace. I stayed cool every time I got into my vehicle, and you can too. At Tow School Center of 31 Gaskin Bay Road, Bonaccord, they specialize in auto air conditioning with parts and services catering to your car's needs. Call and ask for tows at 660-8777 or 788-3535. Tow School Center, where a comfortable ride is a cool ride.
Hey, if you are having difficulty in your marriage or in your relationship and you need someone to speak with privately and confidentially, then call me, Michael Stewart. We can do face-to-face or virtually any part of the world. If your relationship is worth saving, call 868-688-5363 or go to my website www.michaelstewart.com. Don't wait until it's too late. Get counseling. I hope that you've heard about our program that's coming up, or okay, so we had a little technical difficulty. Thank you very much for sticking around and being with us still. I was telling you that in the relationship, it may be the other person that you are with that may be the difficult person, but it also may be you. Never underestimate. Always give yourself a chance to check yourself and see whether you are contributing to some of the ills of your own relationship. All right. So we're going to talk about that this evening. Let me say hello to a few people. We have quite a number of people on. I see we have Denison McIntyre. Good evening to you. And he's saying hello to Sydney also. Good evening to Candice Alexander and Patsy Greg. Good evening. Yes, Lamimi, good evening to you. And Elon Gooden, nice to have you. Who else do we have here? Yes. Patsy, she says, oh, she's saying hello to McIntyre. Beatrice, Dennison, all of you great people. Wow, okay. Mike, you don't know, it might have your knight in shining armor. Okay, I think she's talking to Lamimi. Mariel Jose, good evening. First time listener. All right, Mariel, welcome. And where are you listening from? We would love to know that. Yes, Charming Boys, good evening to you. Who else do we have? Right. So we're asking you to share the live, get on to somebody and tell them, listen, tune in for Mike at Night this evening. We're going to talk about compatibility. Even if you are not in a relationship now, it's important because some of you have been in relationships and have no idea why they're not working. Probably you are attracting into your life the kind of people that make your relationships dysfunctional. So I want you to give yourself a chance to listen to this evening's program with a very open mind as we go into some of the discussions. I want to start off with a video. Well, it's two short videos I have. We'll start off with one, I'll come back, we'll chat a little bit, and then we'll go to the second one, and then I will bring to you some of the tenets of compatibility. So, Mr. Sidney Jones, it's over to you.
Is your relationship meant to last, or are you stuck in a partnership that feels like simply too much work? The answer isn't always obvious. Couples may be compatible, but not in love. They may feel passion and desire towards one another, but the compatibility just isn't there. Both love and compatibility are necessary to keep both partners satisfied and happy. But these two things look more different than you might think. And in this video, I'm not going to focus specifically on compatibility, rather, I'm going to focus on incompatibility, the non-negotiables. The things that might doom a relationship, even if both parties are insanely attracted to each other or are completely committed. Incompatibility comes up in the little disagreements and in the big fights. Without compatibility, you and your partner are not likely to see eye to eye. And if a majority of these statements apply to you, you might just not be that compatible with your partner. So let's start. Number 1, you have different attachment styles. So believe it or not, the relationship we had with our parents growing up makes an impact on the relationships that we have as an adult. Our parents are the first relationships we ever cultivated. They are the standard for us. Psychologists believe that the relationship you have with your parents, as well as other life events, shapes your attachment style. You may have a secure attachment style. This is a healthy attachment to a parent and later a partner. This attachment is based on feelings of trust and safety. While you feel comfortable exploring relationships with friends, colleagues, and strangers, the relationship with the parent and then the partner is the strongest relationship you have. Now, this is ideal, but this is not everyone's attachment style. Inconsistent relationships with parents may lead to insecure attachment styles. This causes a higher risk of insecurity in a relationship, and things like worry, fear, and mistrust are often present. The two other attachment styles are avoidant and anxious. The secret is both of these can be dating a secure style, and each style can be within itself. But if an anxious person and an avoidant person together, the relationship will not work. I actually have an anxious avoidant personality test if you'd like to take that test for free. It's actually in the description below. But if you're in a relationship and something is off, you may need to regroup and find ways to become more secure with each other. A common way to identify this is whenever you have fights, does one of you want to be alone and process it with space, and the other person wants to talk it out and be close? If so, one of you may be avoidant and the other may be anxious, which, according to research, can doom a relationship. Number 2, your core values do not line up. Compatibility is not just how you view each other, it's about how you see the world. Is loyalty the most important value in your life? Or do you prefer to remain open-minded, leaving loyalty at the door if it's not in your or another person's best interest? How about how important is honesty, achievement, putting others before yourself? If these core values don't line up, you might not vote the same. You might not have the same religion, and when you fight, these differences are likely to come up. Now, it's okay to have disagreements on some issues. Many people can have the same values and interpret situations differently. But if you do not have similar priorities and values, you're setting yourself up for more and larger arguments in the future. Now, when I studied and created the scripts for the personality psychology playlist, one of the things that I found about relationships was that relationships lasted if the core values of a couple were the same. Things like political views, religious beliefs, and ideas on critical values. However, hobbies and opinions could differ a whole bunch, but the core values had to match for a couple to be long lasting.
All got that? Because here's two things that I recognize in that. I hope that you all pick out some stuff. And if you pick out some stuff, I want you to put it in the chat. Whatever it is you picked out of that video, I want you to put it in the chat. Let me say, Jose, I understand it's from Arima. Welcome. There's somebody else I saw saying that they are here for the first time, but so many chats went after it that I cannot locate it now. It's not giving me a chance to go backwards to all of those chats prior, but I hope that we get a chance to see them again. So welcome. All right, so two things in that video. Number one, your attachment style. Attachment style is when you, okay, let's put it, when you have a duck and a duckling is hatched, the duckling imprints from the parent, more or less, and that is what causes the duckling to follow the mother duck wherever it goes. It imprints what or who the mother is and begins to mimic what that mother does. Humans don't do the imprinting. What humans do, we have what is called attachment styles. The way how we attach to our caregivers and our parents has a lot to do with how we come across later in life. So that some of the problems that people have in relationships might be if you have somebody who's brought up with a close attachment to family life, they will have a different disposition in a relationship than somebody who did not have a close relationship with a family, because they may not have had a stable family, father not home, or mother is on drugs and goes out and comes in when they want and so on. That child who is going to marry into a family that comes from a stable home, there will be some issues. I promise you that, because of the different attachment styles. So whenever you're going to get into a relationship, it's always good to know the family background of the people, because half of that, and when you listen to many people who are in relationships, they talk about his family, her mother, her father, and the way how they behave and so on. That's because the attachment style is coming out here and coming out evident. Okay, so that's one. The second thing that I recognize is that it says your core values. If you are not in sync with your core values and their core values, they are not in sync, you're not going to have a very good relationship. Notice what they said: politics and religion. So when you ask yourself, why is it churches don't like to marry a Christian to a non-Christian? Because the core value would be missing to make the compatibility. When you want to go to church and your husband or wife who does not hold your religious beliefs and so on wants to go to carnival, where would you approve to send your child? And you are a Christian, to carnival or to church? That must have some issues. So you all might be in love now because you all don't have children. But after you do have children, what are some of the issues? Discipline. What would you allow your child to do? One may want the child to be able to wear the hair long, wear earring, do tattoos. And another one may say, I don't believe in that kind of style. Your core values have got to come into play. Right? So let me see what's going on here. Landon says so true, but unfortunately, they call traits can and may shift. So if you're not aware of these changes, crap will smoke your pipe. And those core values sometimes shift in people. Sometimes they shift, unfortunately, after you get married. So you get in love, you fall in love with somebody who is God-fearing, so they say, Christian, And by the time you settle down, they decide to go back into the world, but you're already married to them. Core values change. So those are some serious issues. Thank you very much for that, Langdon. All right. Good. So that's the first one that we're talking about there. That's the first time we're talking about the attachment style and your core values. I want people to start thinking, is your partner in touch with your core values? Are you in touch with theirs? You cannot be diabolically opposite. I have known of people who come to get married because I'm a licensed marriage officer. One is highly religious and one admit they're an atheist, but they say they love each other. With all due respect, I am no prophet. I am no person who could tell the success of something or not. But you know that there are some things that may have a high chance of failure. How could somebody who call themselves a Christian believe in a God and marry somebody who says, I do not even believe in your God, and there not be some issues that are going down there? When you're ready to pray, you're not going to have that person to pray with you. When you're ready to go to church, you are never ever going to get that person to go to church with you. You are never ever be able to do things and be in the same social circles. You see, so there's going to be a split right down. And sometimes I think people just get carried away with this love relationship. I love, and so love is going to overcome everything, every obstacle in your life. No, really, love is based upon this same concept of how I connect with the person. That is what makes me in love with somebody. Yep. So I hope that you all got that. Yep, share the live, people. Let us make sure that we have everybody on board to be able to get this lesson tonight. It's going to change some people's lives. We're going to go to the second video, and then we'll come back and we'll chat some more.
We've got a hypothesis that we're still working out that's supported to some degree by the relevant literature. So imagine that you're looking for a stable partner, right? So you might think, well, what do you want in a stable partner? And at least in principle, one of the things you don't want is too much mismatch between you and that person on the 5 fundamental dimensions. So for example, if you're really extroverted and you have a really introverted partner, you're going to engage in continual conflict about how much social activity the two of you should subject yourself to. And it's very, very difficult for people who widely differ on those dimensions to come to consensus, because it's not just a matter of opinion, right? It's really a matter of different, if you're looking at extremes, of really different types of people. And the thing about introverts is they just don't enjoy large-scale social interaction that much. One-on-one they're often fine, but in a group they don't like that, and it tires them out. Whereas a real extrovert, it's like you isolate them and they just wither on the vine, because a huge part of what actually motivates them in a positive way is tangled up with social interaction. And so if you're an agreeable person and you have a particularly disagreeable partner, you're also going to run into problems, because the agreeable person will say whatever you want whenever, and the disagreeable person will say, well, I'd like to know what the hell you want for a change, and be much more harsh and much more demanding in the situation. And the agreeable person is going to find the disagreeable person harsh and unpleasant, and the disagreeable person is going to find the agreeable person wishy-washy and unable to stand up for themselves. And again, that's actually one of the primary sources of tension between men and women, because women tend to be higher in agreeableness than men. It's about half a standard deviation, which is quite a large difference by psychological standards. And so what that means, I probably haven't got the statistic quite right, but I think I've got it about right. What that means fundamentally, just so you have some sense of how large an effect that is that if you have a group of men and women and you pick out random pairs, the woman is going to be more agreeable than the man 60% of the time. So that's not an overwhelming proportion, but it's reliable, and it's quite large by psychological standards. So there's the problem with agreeableness. With conscientiousness, well, if you're conscientious, you're industrious and orderly. And orderly people seem to be sensitive to disgust, which is something we'll talk about in detail later. We've had a hard time specifying exactly what makes industrious people industrious, because it's hard to come up with an animal model for that sort of thing, and there's no theoretical model. But our latest idea is that, it's not my idea, it's actually the idea of my graduate student, Christine Brophy, is that industrious people find it unpleasant and unsettling to not be doing something.
Okay, so if you listen to what he's saying, here's what he's saying. There's something called the Big Five. I'm going to explain that. These are personality traits. I'm going to explain what that is also. But these Big Five, and he just mentioned about two of them, I think agreeableness and conscientiousness. These two things, if well, all five of them, creates the personality of the person. This, when you marry somebody, you are actually marrying into their personality. If you don't take cognizance of that, you might be marrying or getting into a relationship with a personality that's not compatible to yours. Now, you're never going to get somebody who is exactly like you. But if it is too wide apart, it creates its own issues because the relationship is too far apart. The personality is too far apart. Now, here's what he said that is very instructive. When you take two people and you check who is more agreeable, 60% of the time, the woman is more agreeable. Here's what I'm saying. And if you think I'm wrong, I want all you to tell me what you think. But this is my own opinion. This statistic, I believe, is an old statistic that says that 60% of the time the woman is more agreeable, because in that time the woman would have considered subjection and all of the things that, you know, as religious people we talk about. The woman would not agree with something, but she'll go along with it, etc. But is it still the same today? When you look at the man and the woman, is the woman the agreeable one? Or is it the man that is the agreeable one and the woman who's not normally agreeable? What do you all think? I want you to put that inside of there quickly. Who's more agreeable in a relationship, the woman or the man? Come people, give me it fast. Give me it fast. All right. Share it with me. Who's more agreeable in a relationship, the woman or a man? Right. Langdon say he believes this statistic is wrong because as men, the men don't fight up. The men just allow things to go. They back down and so on. That's what he's saying. The lone stranger. Is this your first time? He says the man is more agreeable. Dennison says it's 50-50. Sylvester Baird said the man is more agreeable. Men at the moment, says Joel, are the agreeable one because the times have changed. The one who good. Yeah. Okay, thank you all so much for weighing in on that. The statistic says when it comes to divorce, more women divorce men than men divorcing their woman. And I believe the statistics is around that same 60%. 60% or so, I think it is, from if I remember correctly. Women divorce men. They leave. As to why they leave, we could always discuss that on the next program. Yeah? People share the live. Yes. Lone Stranger said, no, I've been on the last two sessions and with men and women to stay away from. All right, Lone Stranger, thank you very much for coming on board. Appreciate that. All right. So, yes. Okay. We appreciate you having to give us your opinion on that. So that's how he said it. But I'm going to talk about that. We have some time, so we're making some good time. Let me explain what a trait is. A personality trait. A personality trait is that characteristic that character, attitude, the patterns of thought, the patterns of behavior that you have that is consistent under the same circumstances. Okay, let me explain, because it is a stable way of operating. What do I mean by that? Somebody who they say scores high in a personality trait means there are some people, as soon as you say something they don't agree with, they will start to cuss. They don't care is who. This is how they will behave almost every time. That's a trait. A trait is that stable behavior that we operate with. I would see people go on Facebook and they would start to curse at a person. Nobody knows who this person is except the person who's cursing on the Facebook, and come on Facebook with thousands of people to curse that person. And they says, in fact, one lady actually says, I tried to stop cursing her, but I come back here to cuss again. That's a trait. Now, if you're going to get into a relationship with that person, don't think that that person is not going to curse. So you can't be going in and say, well, they were vexed with that person, but they're not vexed with me. You will be cursed out. Trust me. Now, if you don't like it to be in a relationship with somebody who cursing you, and you watch that in observation, this is why you observe the person first, and you see that the person is a cussbot, you have to be naive to get into that relationship knowing that you don't and can't handle a cuss out. You understand? So that's why you've got to always monitor the person and how they're behaving. Oh, I see Javon Price gave me the figures. Apparently, Javon Googled it. 80% of women initiate divorce. So I was low. I said 60%. 80% of women initiate divorce. Right? And that is why the statistics have changed, because before it was men who was divorcing women. Okay, so thank you very much, Javon Price. Yeah. All right. So now that we understand the trait, the 5 personality traits has been studied worldwide. And they said generally we operate with 5 personalities. So let's see if we could go into them. And I hope that you'll be able to find your personality trait and your spouse or your boyfriend, your girlfriend, or your ex personality trait, or even the one that is coming. We're going to try and do the comparison. Let's hope that we have enough time to complete all. Number 1, openness. Openness is that personality trait where it carries a number of different segments, right? Where this person is exploratory. They're open to new things. You go to a hotel, they would explore. They are open to, when they go to the restaurant, in the hotel, you know, there are some people, they're not going to order anything that they have never eaten before. The open person wants to try it. Give me it. I never see this. I never hear it before, but let me try it. They are very, very open. They are very exploratory. They say they are artistic. They express their feelings. So you're not sure. You know, there are some people you're not sure the person vexed or they're not vexed. They disagree with me or they don't disagree, because some people will not agree with you. They don't like you and they're not saying something. They're not expressing themselves. An open person would express themselves. And I'm not about hostile and angry and all of that, but they are very expressive. So this open person tend to really say things as they see it, which isn't bad. Whereas the person who is not open will seldom get into that kind of euphoria. You go to surprise somebody who's open, they're all surprised and expressive and so on. You go to somebody who's not open, who's closed, and oh, thanks, appreciate it. They're not very emotional. Is something wrong with that? I'm not saying so. Is something wrong being open? I'm not saying so either. But if you have somebody who's expressive, excited about things, emotional, and they come home to do something for you and so on, and they want to see that expression on you, and you have somebody who just doesn't understand why all this fuss, why you're carrying on like this, you're going to have some problems. Because that open person is fed by that level of interaction. But the other person may not want all of that kind of expression. So you could see that we're going to have some little troubles there. So, Joy said, not me. I in everything once. It don't kill me. She open. All right, Joy, me and you, I think we're on the same page. Because there are things that I tell myself, okay, once. But let me at least get the experience and see what it is like. All right. So we have that, and the person who is open, they like adventure, and they would do things differently. They'll go different places. They'll try out a slide. They'll try out something they'll ride a horse. They'll try a bike. They'll do something that is outside of their norm, because this is what makes them. This is what excites them. And whereas the closed person only want to do what they know. So I'm not going with you, and I don't know the place. I don't know the people. I'm not coming to that function with you. You see, because those are your people. Those are not my people. I don't know them. You could understand what the kind of troubles that might be coming down the pipe if you have these two extremes thinking that they're going to get into a relationship together. Now, as I said, you do need the opposites. But when it is so wide and so stable that they are opposite, it's hard to bring them together. Okay, so let me see what's happening here. So Langdon said, I know or knew a couple where one party loved exploring and traveling, but not very vocal and expressive. The other won't physically explore, but extremely expressive. Right. Writes a lot. Okay. Right. Charmaine said, good night. That is her adventure. Yeah. Now, the opposites help to temper the other person. But as I said, when it is wide and so on, it creates a little thing. So that open people likes complex things, to work out things and so on. They always like those kind of things. And there are some people, as soon as you give them something that is too complex, no, that will give me headache. I can't do that. Sometimes I will post some mathematical things on Facebook or to the WhatsApp group and ask people to work out this maths or this riddle and so on. And there's some people who will just write back immediately, no, Michael, that will give me a headache. I'm not even going to try it. Yeah. And another person, they never saw it before, and then they are there giving all kind of answers, some of the answers wrong, but they don't care. You see, because they are in it for the fun of it. That's the person. Those are the things you look for, to look to know what is the personality, and can I live with this personality to make it compatible. So we also have where values, they tend to be very liberal, and they tend to when I went to Bermuda, I saw them wearing what is called the Bermuda shorts and the socks right up to the knee, with shoes and jacket and tie. Short pants, shoes, socks tall to the knee, jacket and tie. Well, because I'm an open person, I went to the store, bought myself a yellow pants, got myself a nice yellow tie, decked myself off, and I went to the event dressed in that. Well, all the local people in that conference felt it was very, very strange to see me dressed like that. But hey, I getting into the mood. There's some of them saying, not me. That looks weird. That's them. And that's okay too. But this is me. You see? So anybody who's going to come along to try to connect with me can't be too withdrawn, can't be too close. Because I'm out there. That's me. All right. So, all right. So let's go on to the second one, conscientiousness. Conscientiousness is what he spoke about there. And conscientiousness is order, industrialness, where there are some people like things in order. They like books neatly packed. They want your shoes below the bed. You put away your things and so on. Very conscientious, very clean, very orderly. And they are married to somebody who don't regard order. They drop the clothes all over the place. They eat from a dish and they just drop it in the sink. They go into bed without the dishes washed. Whereas your conscientious person wants those wish they cannot sleep without those dishes washed before and so on. You can imagine what that is. You could imagine both of them in one house. They will always be complaining. Have you ever been to university and in the dorm or your roommate is very messy and you are taught to just keep things neat and clean, but your roommate couldn't care less? Just look at the kind of conflict that takes place with that. Because I've heard people say they want to change roommate, they're going home, or they want to go and report the person for the way how they're living. So nasty. They would eat and leave the cup and plate right by this bedside and go and sleep. And ants following it. But you can't handle that. Conscientious people. Those are people who like order. They are also people who are busy about life. They always have a plan for their day. They always have a plan with where they're going, what they want to do with their life. They know they want to buy a house. They know they want to come out of rent. They want to be able to start settling down with the things of life that they want. So they're working hard towards a goal. But they marry somebody who they don't care whether Monday fall on a Wednesday. They are not busy about nothing. They come home and they either playing games or they're on their cell phone. They don't have a job. They wouldn't even go and look for a job. They just there. A conscientious person would walk up the wall with that person because they have a lot they are after in their life. They go in evening classes, they're studying, they're doing this and so on. It makes the relationship incompatible. They'll always be quarreling. Let me see what's happening on Facebook here now. Denison, well, Mimi says conscientious pressure. Denison said, that's me, Mike. I'm cleaning up my kitchen while I'm listening. All right, you see? Now, if you go, I don't know if you're married or whatever it is, but I hope the person can respect that and go along with that. Yes. Right, Charmaine says she's adventurous. Okay. All right, Charmaine says she loves things neat. There are some people. You just go home by them anytime, unannounced. Their house always neat. Always neat. And you know what it is to have a child who is not conscientious and living with a mother or father or parents who conscientious. I know of one particular gentleman, his parents always have the place well clean. The house not necessarily big, but it's very clean. You see, you don't need a big house to have a clean place. I've seen some people with some small houses and they are able to still have that place looking so fresh and airy. Wonderful. But anyway, his mother left and went out somewhere, and so he is now in the house. I went by this gentleman to visit him. As I walked into the house, he says, Stuart, don't even sit down. Whatever it is you have to say, stand up and say it. You see, after my mother cleaned out this house here and she has gone out of the country, I am moving nothing. I don't want to move no chair because I don't want her to come and tell me when she come back that the place is messy. So talk and stand up. Even when I try to lean against the wall, he said, no, don't lean there. I don't want no mark on the wall. If you can't stand up, you need to probably talk outside on the road. And he dead serious, you know. He did not move nothing in that house because he is not conscientious, but his mother is. Yeah. So, and do you think that he and the mother get along? Nope. Always quarreling. Why? Because it's two different mindset. All right. Let me see who's on. Yeah. Josan. Josan said, yes, me. I wonder what is it she's saying me to. I thought, is it cleanness? Oh, okay. She said her compulsive disorder is people on the floor at school. She can't handle that. You know, there are children, there are some people can live in squalor, in mess, and they're not even aware of the mess that is all over the place. They live in it naturally. So when you're courting, go home by the boy. See how he have his room. See how he have his place. And don't give yourself an excuse and say, well, you know, he's busy. Because if you know you can't stand it, when you get married, he's not going to be less busy that he cannot clean his room. Same thing with if you're a gentleman. There are some guys who have grown up and they have grown up very disciplined. They know how to cook, they know how to clean house, they know how to take care of themselves. No woman could cut style on them. And some of these guys marry a girl who did not grow up with that kind of attachment and that kind of upbringing. They are messy as ever, because not only men messy, there are women who are also messy. And they are always at war. Because I know of some fellas that they are always complaining about how the wife does not keep house well. So it happens both ways. But the conscientious person likes to keep busy. The conscientious person is also dutiful in that they like things to be done according to best practice, rules, etc. But the person who's not conscientious don't care too much about that. They break every rule to fit them as how they feel. The conscientious person is self-disciplined. They get chores out of the way. They know they have to do this. This is why some wives would come home, and while a man may go to the television and unwind, the woman may go straight to the kitchen. She's getting things done. She's getting things out of the way and hustling up to be able to head for bed, see about the children, help them with homework and so on. Conscientious. And the guy, when she looks out to that living room and she sees him, she's livid, angry with him. Now that has implications for the relationship. So when she watches him watching TV and watching cricket and football and all of that, he come home and she has all of this thing doing, and then she goes and sees about the schoolwork. She goes and prepares the clothes for school for the next day for the children. She goes and she packs away. She has dinner and all of that, and she comes into bed. By the time he comes into bed, thinking that he's going to start to nunks, I want to be very airworthy, and he's looking for nunks. He doesn't understand why she is so hostile. He doesn't understand why she is so reticent towards him. Because she watched that. And this is not working out for both of them. The incompatibility is beginning to show up. Now, had he been a conscientious guy, he would know. Let me go inside the kitchen and help her. While she's cooking, I will wash the dishes. Or I will go and help the children with the schoolwork. Or I will go and iron the clothes and so on. A conscientious guy would do that. Or a conscientious partner. That is why you look at the compatibility in that area. Denison said, my grandfather used to tell me, go home and see how she treats her mother. That's right. Yes, Lyndon said, each one has to help one. You had better believe it. You see? There must be something you could help in some way. Both people. So that conscientious person considers that. The conscientious person is also deliberate. They would think things through because they would look at the impact of their decisions in spending money, look at the impact of the things they say and do. Whereas the non-conscientious person just rush into things. They just do things arbitrarily because they are not orderly. They're not disciplined in any way. All right. I hope you all sharing the live. Let's go down now. I hope you all remember this is the third one, I believe it is. Extroversion as opposed to being an introvert. Extroversion. So I'm going to deal with that. The extrovert is the life of the party. This person likes to be sociable. They like going out, dressing up, meeting people. Because people is a great part of their personality. They feel nice when it have functions going on and they could go and meet other people and come out the house. Is something wrong with that? Nope. But then you might be married to somebody who likes to stay home. Is something wrong with that? Nope. But when both of them like the polarized position so strongly, I am going nowhere, I am going everywhere, it will have its issues. That's not going to end very nicely. You will have the issues because the person is going to ask you, where you going now? And you're going down the road again for a next function, a next event, a next thing, a next lime, a next activity to meet people because you can't handle people at home. Nothing is wrong with that, as we said. But your partner doesn't believe in that. Your partner just figures we should stay home because there is no need to leave home because you leave home already because you went to work. So there's no need to leave home again. And that person makes demands for you to stay home. You might stay home once, you might stay home twice, but after a while, it's going to annoy you. And it will annoy the other person who is home seeing you always going out. So you'll annoy each other. The incompatibility is showing up once again. Okay. All right. So, that person who is on the outside, they love gatherings, as opposed to the person who prefers to stay at home. This person is assertive, take charge, and the other person who is not so assertive, who is introvert, is not taking charge. So if they're not taking charge, the extrovert is annoyed with this person who's not taking charge, and the introvert is annoyed at this person always taking charge. Mercy. And then you have where the person is always excited, love excitement, love surprises and all of that. And they would come home, they're in a good mood. Yeah. When I'm in a good mood, I'll turn up the windows in the vehicle and I'll turn the music very loud. Not when I'm stopped. Not when I am at a traffic light or so, because I find that is annoying for the people around. But if I'm driving and I'm moving along, where it's not disturbing anybody, I love loud music. Yeah? If the music is good. Now, my wife, she'd have to say, Michael, turn it down, turn it down. She's not the extrovert. She's the introvert. And so that loud music and all of that excitement, there's no need for that as far as she's concerned. You see. So whenever it is polarized, but it is polarized to such a great extent that it creates fight and rift. In our case, it doesn't create the fight and rift. It just means that I have to, sometimes I turn it down, and sometimes I turn it off, and so on. But I'm not always asked to turn it off. I'm not always asked to turn it down. Sometimes they just tolerate it. But whenever you have it where the person is constantly annoyed at that and cannot handle it, you will have some problems. Mel Jones says she loves loud music. I know that, Mel. I know that one for sure. I just hear you in your vehicle. When I call you, I just hear you having to turn it down. Giselle Davis says, guess this is where compromising comes into play. Well, as long as the person could compromise and make adjustment, then you don't have a compatibility issue. Because you will have your challenges and you will have your opposite. But it's when the person thinks that it must be this way. Charmaine says it must be soft music. And that's all right. Now, if she likes soft music, her significant other likes loud music, you have a problem. Because she can't sleep, she can't rest and relax. And that person can't rest and relax without the loud music. Yeah. Simeon say on point, you see, I'm talking business. Dennison say loud music is bad for your ear. Where Dennison find that? If you have constant loud music up in your ears in an earphone, that could damage your ears if you're constantly listening to. But every so often, loud music is not going to damage your ear, Mr. Dennison. Or Miss, Mr. or Miss. Langdon say he loved playing gospel music loud. Langdon, let me tell you, nothing more annoying than living in a community where houses are close together in a community. And a so-called Christian figure, because they have gospel music, they should play it loud and disturb everybody. But that same Christian don't like when the person put on the reggae to play loud reggae back at them. Yeah, man. Anyway, I just put that in for freebie. Invest in a headphone. Nah, sometimes you need it out of that headphone, man. You need to hear the vibes, to hear the bass, and hear the various instruments nice and loud. That way we have two ears. Dennison, I love loud music. Hey, Josie and me, I know that. Hey, Josie, I love loud music. Yes, all the Christians there. I hope all the preachers they're hearing all there, and all the pastors they're hearing all the loud music all they're talking about. So, extrovert, they say, is usually cheerful, radiates joy and so on. And the introvert is seldom amused. You'll be watching a movie, it's a comedy. The extrovert will catch a joke easy, laugh out loud, and the introvert have no idea what was that joke. In fact, they want to know what is so funny. And they're watching you. What's so funny? That joke? Yeah. Joanne Benjamin, loud music, is it? Dennison say, I damaged my ear in 76 listening to loud music. You in Carnival, Dennison? And Landon said, I know this. I'm not too sure what he's saying he knows, but he knows this. But I always remember my first messages were through music. Alright, okay. Okay. So, that's your extrovert. I hope you all remember. Those who remember, post it there. I wouldn't bother go to the break because I say we're running out of time. I think it's 3 of them I put so far. So we talking for those who just joined us. We dealing with the big 5. These are the personality traits. A personality trait is where a person generally behaves under the same conditions all the time. So you have some people, they're agreeable. There are some people, they are generally disagreeable. No matter what it is you say, they're going to find a way to disagree with you. You'll always find a way to have some argument. Then you have the conscientious person. This is the person who is hardworking, busy, orderly, industrious, and have plans for their life, plan for the day, and so on, and they're going after a thing. And you have a partner who is working 2 and 3 jobs because they are trying to achieve a goal, and you have somebody that they're in a relationship with and they couldn't care less if they got fired, and if they don't have a job, they couldn't care less to operate with any measure of haste to get a job. That's how some people are. So, the conscientious. Extroversion is the person who's outgoing, social, the socialite, like all of that thing. And the introvert is the person who's always at home and doesn't want to go out anywhere, don't like to meet people, don't feel too enthused to be anybody's friend. They have little or no friends in some cases. And if that is okay with them, that is okay with them. But if you have to get into a relationship with an extrovert, it not gonna work so easy. All right. Agreeableness is the one that the gentleman was speaking about in the video earlier, for those who just joined us. This agreeableness, they trust others. They tend to be more or less, they are easy to agree with you, your point, your opinion, and so on. Nothing is wrong with that. But of course, you can't be agreeable with every little thing. And the person who's not agreeable tend to distrust people. And the agreeable person is usually compliant. The disagreeable person is not necessarily as compliant. Agreeable person is straightforward and cooperative. And the disagreeable person is more or less harsh with their tongue. Right? So, the agreeable person is approachable, but sometimes they are overly agreeable to their own detriment. And so that needs a little balance. It needs the balance of the person who has a mind also that says, listen, I don't necessarily agree with that, in order to be able to give balance. And then if the agreeable person is agreeable, they would want to know, why is it you don't agree? And it could work out. So this is why when we talk about the man-woman relationship, we have women who are disagreeable. And that is not necessarily something that men should take as something to be feared. It gives you a chance to be able to hear another side of a story and another opinion, and to appreciate that not everything we say or you say makes it law or makes it right. So once you do that, then you give yourself a chance to be able to learn something new or something different from the other person. All right, let me go to the final one, right? Because it'll be right on time. Neuroticism. Neuroticism is where the person is more or less has anxiety on everything. They worry about everything. They are bothered about everything. Somebody then come home the time you expect them, they feel the people them dead. They would always worry as soon as they have a pain, they feel they have cancer. They're neurotic. They worry about everything. Whereas the person who's not neurotic is relaxed most of the time. Yes, they have the pain, I go and check it out. But they don't overthink things as the neurotic person. So could you imagine being in a relationship where you are easygoing and you with this person who feel everything must be a fire that you have to call the fire service to out? You're going to have some problems. The neurotic person tends to be hostile, gets angry easily, and the other person who is not neurotic tends to really, on rare occasions, get irritated. So, if a child gets a bad report in school, you might have a neurotic parent who is livid, making noise and worried that this child must be going to fail in school and fail and come out to be nothing, wouldn't get a job. They think all that way just because they fail an exam. They thinking down the road the person would never be able to get a job, would never be able to get their subjects, would never be able to go university and so on. And another parent in that same family is going to figure, come on, it is nothing. All they have to do just have to work harder on the next thing. You see, you're not taking nothing serious, and so on. They don't like the people who are not neurotic. They want you to be as neurotic as them. But you also have where the person who is not neurotic taking things too light, not taking things as seriously as they should. Yeah. All right. So you got to be careful. Everything with balance. Alicia, good evening to you. Nice having you on board. Right. All right. People say they ain't voted and the man close the vote. All right. All right. So the neurotic person usually gets depressed, always feel down, generally feels blue. Whereas the other person who's not as neurotic, they just not going to let things get them down to that. The neurotic person is impulsive. They just do things vike. And whereas the person who's not neurotic is usually more relaxed in doing things. They remain calm under circumstances. You know, I feel I have an aunt. I ain't gonna call name a which aunt. I have an aunt who, if they driving and they hear a noise in the car, oh gosh, they start to worry and tremble and start to get scared. I wonder if something wrong. I wonder if the car will blow up. I wonder if the car would explode and so on. That time it might be some bottle rolling wrong in the trunk, you know. I tell you, neurotic, you know. So you have to live with somebody who is so neurotic that everything, you know, there's somebody said, if you think like a hammer, everything would look like a nail. There are some people just like that. All right. That brings us down to the end of the program, people. I hope you all got that. Those are the 5 things the psychologist says, the 5 personality traits, and you have to ask yourself, do I line up? I hope you have lined yourself up and you have found out which one you are. Let me just give you quickly the 5 of them: openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neurotic. See if you can determine which one you are, and see if you can determine which one your spouse is. So the poll question: do you believe that compatibility is important to successful relationships and a happy relationship? 87% of people said yes, it is. I believe it is. And 13% of people said nope, doesn't matter. You could just marry anybody and it will work. All right, try it. You're gonna like it. Yes, sir. Just remember that we have, if you have not signed up for our upcoming marriage program, which is October 1, go to the website www.michaelatstewart. Make sure you sign up for that. It will give you more detail of how to get your relationships going and energized. We look forward to seeing you. My name is Michael Stewart. The man behind the console and the setup is Mr. Sidney Jones. And this is Mike at Night. We'll see you next week, Thursday, 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. God bless you all. Love you all now. Hey, if you are having difficulty in your marriage or in your relationship and you need someone to speak with privately and confidentially, then call me, Michael Stewart. We can do face-to-face or virtually any part of the world. If your relationship is worth saving, call 868-688-5363 or go to my website www.michaelatstewart.com. Don't wait until it's too late. Get counseling.
Don't let the weather of the day dictate your pace. I stayed cool every time I got into my vehicle, and you can too. At Tow School Center of 31 Gaskin Bay Road, Bonaccord, they specialize in auto air conditioning with parts and services catering to your car's needs. Call and ask for tows at 660-8777 or 788-3535. Tow School Center, where a comfortable ride is a cool ride.